to this evening conversation with my guest, Charlie Boy. We will be starting shortly. Hopefully, he will be joining me. Quickly, let me figure out that you are able to hear me loud and clear. With my guest. Okay, so you are able to do that. I can hear myself very well. So please like, share, and subscribe. I am still outside my base as I speak to you. So quickly, one thing that I want to do by means of introduction, I would want to start by saying that the recent renaming of the iconic Charlie Boys bus stop in Lagos to Bado bus stop in honor of the famous rapper Olamide Adejeji has sparked widespread debate and controversy. Charlie Boy, popularly known as, Charles Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy or Area Father One, a veteran entertainer, a man whom I have had series of conversations here on Njenje Media TV, an activist, has been vocal about his disapproval, describing the move to change the bus stop named after him as an attempt to erase his legacy of grassroots activism and resistance against oppression. The bus stop, located along the Bagada Mariga axis of Lagos State, was named by the local communities to recognize Charlie Boy's contribution to social justice in his connection to the area that he lived for many decades. The decision by the Bariga Local Government Development Authority (LCDA) to rename this bus stop has been raising questions and to the reason why this has been done and to the motivation behind the change. With some, including Charlie Boy himself, suggesting that it reflects ethnic favoritism, political agenda, and whatnot. Others argue that it is a legitimate effort to honor local heroes like Olamide, a Bariga native. This interview aims to dive into Charlie Boy's perspective, exploring whether the renaming is an act of ethnic bigotry, a politically motivated move, or simply a cultural rebranding with such malicious intent. I understand that moments ago, Charlie Boy was on Arise TV. He will be joining me hopefully very shortly, as I believe he will be rounding up his interview with an Arise TV. And I do believe that as a result of the nature of this, a lot of people been reaching out to him to speak to them. Now, before he joins me, hopefully, I would have the following to say. And that's applies because this, as it has happened, many people are beginning to think why this, and the comments that I have read from the internet suggest that this, or many believe that this is nothing but ethnic bigotry. Some have actually said that this is something done ahead of 2027. Recall that in 2023 or 2022, 2023 election, at some point, we all heard the narrative of Iya Chinedu and what not. Now, many do think, probably naively, that after the election, that things would have changed. But as it is, election is now for the approaching for the 2024 presidential election and other adjoining elections, that it appears that many individuals are still trying to ignite the ethnic amber, right? And if we actually look at this narrative of how people think about what has happened. And some of us or some individuals would have, reading the Twitter street are saying that Olamide should have rejected that. But Olamide has said, he has welcomed the renaming with open arms, which had led that some people, in one way or the other, said that he is an accomplice to what has happened. Now, I think if we have to build a nation where no one is oppressed, where we are all, with some level of degree, a federal system, that certain things should be taken into cognizance in doing. From all indication, it appears that this particular act is an act that was done with malicious intent. Again, it remains to be seen where it is proven otherwise that this is not, or that it is not so, right? I'm still waiting on my guest to join me. If you wish, quickly, if you have anything to say or if you want to join me, this is a YouTube direct, engagement. Since you're here on YouTube, you should be able to join me live. I've just shared in the comment section um, the link to join me with. So if you want to join me, hold on, I think. Okay, I think we should be able to get the comment section and join through that link that I have shared here while I wait for Charlie Boy to join me. So my point here is that on no account, now two people must not be mad at the same time. My advice is on no account would anyone fall into this trap, because this is a trap. I do not want a situation whereby you wake up in any of the states within the southeast or in any of the states within the south, that you wake up, someone says, oh, as a result of what has happened, that we are going to rename XYZ street. No, the streets should remain. One thing that people, those who are doing this, obviously they know the reason why they are doing it, because it's politically motivated, and they want to ensure that they erase every single thing that was done by certain individuals who bought, pieces of land and built up certain areas where they reside. It makes absolute no sense, because if I go to the street renaming that happened recently, if I go and read the names of the streets, it follows a pattern, and this pattern is so obvious that this is what it is, right? And I have also seen where people have argued, oh, that there was a street in Oka named Abakaliki Road, that it was eventually renamed at Club Street. And I laugh, because what they want to use that narrative to do is to say, oh, even in the Southeast, that you can fight against yourselves. And that's absolute balderdash and arrant nonsense. And I would explain. What you saw that happened in what you saw that happened in Oka was that the Abakaliki Street has nothing less than 20 to 30 bars and clubs lined up in that street every night. In fact, if you ever visited Oka and you stayed out night in Oka, you understand that that street has become the club street, actually. And the state thought it wise to say, okay, this is a club street. Obviously, that's what it is. So, I mean, that's the trade. That is not in any way, shape, or form conforming to what we now know. If you look at Etiosa local government area, for instance, and you look at a publication that they made in the newspapers. Let me quickly grab that. If we look at this, because listen, this is the publication. Let me read this for us. Tony Amadoson Road, Dr. Udo Wogu Drive, Austin Oji Street, Chike Mbaklos, Ugochukwu Oji Street, Fubara, Dublin Green Street. These streets, names Southeast, South South, were changed to one Femi, Chief Femi Pedro Street, Chief Adebola Dosumo, Alhaji Adio Mayegun, Honorable Sikiru Ashota, Barrister Wale Sani Rafiu Urukola. You know, it's very hurtful to try to engage in this type of conversation because there is no way, you try it as much as possible to remain objective, having such conversations, without coming out slightly hot at either you are considered being politically correct or that you are supporting one section of the country than the other. What I would have thought is a state that is so rapidly being developed, if we want to honor someone, there are new estates being built across the state every time. These new roads be named after individuals. When Bariga was still not developed, I recall while I was the staff of the NTA in 1999, when you come out and you see Charlie Boy, I mean, Charlie Boy made me actually, by my, seeing him then, made me get into power bike. Actually, that I started riding power bike was as a result of Charlie Boy's influence, whom when I see him then in Lagos, with these bikers like skinheads, chaps with all these stuff, rings, whatever. Though I do not wear those things. I only do like power bike, my Ninja, my Kawasaki Ninjas, 950cc and whatnot, right? And you look at that, you saw the influence he had in that pop culture, then that's narrative work, people created narrative around that. And based on the way he engaged in his community activism, then he was able to get the people or the community to name him, or rather to name a bus stop after him. Okay, so hold on. So the community named a bus stop after him. However, couple of years, if not decades later, and as a result of continued ethnic bigotry, and things are beginning to change. There is I think it's a Charlie Boy bridge in Abuja. In an interview with Charles Anagolo this evening, Charles Anagolo actually jokingly said, hopefully the bridge in Abuja will not be renamed also. We have the landlord of Abuja who is also doing the biddings of the owner and discoverer of Lagos State. So, nothing says that cannot happen because anything that is, there is nothing that happens to Nigeria now that one could consider that, oh, this is absurd, that this is not happening. It's, it appears to be everything can now happen, to be honest with you. Someone made a joke that the Falcon won, the female Nigerian female football team, the Falcon, that they won, the a cup that they won 2 days ago, right? Someone made a joke. Well, maybe it is time to rename the Falcon to Renewed Hope Football Team. I don't know. You may think it's a joke. You never know that if those governing us now are beginning to think like the popular skit maker. Wait a minute, that is Kelvin Black, uh, whose popular line or who is known as Governor Amuneke. You never know if these guys will be thinking like Governor Amuneke, who edits his videos and tells a different story. So you never know. They can actually that joke can actually give them ideas, and you wake up one day. If we can rename and change our national anthem, with no prior knowledge, in one day everything is done and dusted. So who says that we cannot rename national team? If we're able to just rehabilitate the International Conference Center and rename it, we're renaming everything renameable. Bus stops are now being renamed. I don't know, maybe VIP toilets that are built in certain primary and secondary schools will also be renamed. So it's pretty crazy out here. To be honest with us guys, it's quite sad to think that in the year 2025 that such activities should be happening. My message to us, if my guest is still going to join me, will be very simple. Please let no region, let no state join in this bigotry. This is nothing but a political motivated renaming. Okay, so they want this conversation to shift to ethnic name calling. The ones that have been engineered so far by the man called O Mockery. The one that mocks himself. I think his bigotry is shown. Is enough. We do not need more bigotry to be bringing to play here, right? So we do not need more bigotry to happen. The one that has been done by all mockery is enough. Let us keep it cool. We are all citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Constitution hasn't said that you do not have the right to reside anywhere anywhere that you deem fit. Let me take this. Someone. So, if you want to join and make any contribution, you can use the link that is shared in there. Actually, let's see if we can pin the link. Uh, Hold on. Let me see if I can pin the link quickly. That's a YouTube link. If I can pin it, then you could join me. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Oh, I pinned it now, so you can see it on the pinned section. That is the link to join me if you so wish. This is a YouTube conversation. We are only streaming on YouTube directly, so if you're able to join me, you could make your own contribution. If you think this is a a political motivated renaming of this bus stop, this is about young, hardworking Nigerians, and this political class are trying to knock them heads together. And this we must resist. So, my main message here is no part of this nation should try to, in any way, shape, or form, fall for this nonsense by trying to retaliate because it's going to only escalate, right? If a street historically is named after someone, or if a bus stop historically is named after someone, why don't you do? I mean, you can build more streets, estates, and rename it and name after whoever you want to. So this, renaming of nonsense, it doesn't make any sense to me, right? But hey, Who are we? What do we know? But we'll do as much as we can. Quickly, what's okay? I think there is something holding my guest. Maybe we need to reschedule this conversation if he's unable to join. Let me call him for the last time. If he's unable to join, then we should call it today. And if you're able to join, then that's fine. Let me see. Is it okay? So let's hope that he's able to join us shortly. If not, the link has been shared with him as I agreed. But it's indeed, sad to note that in the year 2025, we'll still be talking about these things. But do not, please, my plea with all of us is that do not let them gaslight you. Do not let anyone gaslight you. This is a case of waiting to be gaslighted, right? Someone is waiting for you to use this as an opportunity to say something silly, to say something that, can hurt the other. I read some argument when people say, oh, Lagos is a no man's land. And I say, I don't know why anyone would make such argument because that's disrespectful. Yes, Lagos belongs to every Nigerian, just like every other state belongs to every Nigerian. But there are people who are indigenous to Lagos, and that is their land. Because in Africa, we are not like in New York or Berlin, where someone moves from New York to San Francisco, and he doesn't care about New York anymore. We are a people that if you move from Lagos to Abuja, you still have your ancestral land, ancestral connection to Lagos. Therefore, it means that Lagos is someone's land, and we must collectively respect that. The same way Sokoto is someone's land, the same way Calabar, that was once Nigerian federal capital, or even Abuja, in as much as the Gwaris, the Bagis, where the government tried to erase them from the ownership of Abuja. Abuja still remains someone's land, even when we own it, then developed it collectively, just like Lagos was done before now, when it was the capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, especially during the military, where the military had the capital and had the seat of the president or head of states then at the Dodam Barrack, Victoria and Lagos. So if you just oppose that and go back and think who were those who started that Lagos is a no man's land, you go back and you can find out. You had at one point the former governor of Lagos State, Jakonde, used that phrase, and you go back and say during the presidential campaign of 1983 that late President Shehu Shagari used that, and at some point the only a prominent southeasterner that have used that, and in a different context was an APC chieftain, that is Dr. Ojus Okalo, who once, but in a different context that is now being misconstrued. And that is not entirely the way it should be, right? And I think anyone, with iota of gray matters in between their skulls should know that it is not right to classify that state as no man's land. It is someone's land. And having said that, however, it should not be a case of, you know, um, every electoral cycle, people will now begin to use, find something to, kind of gaslight the people. The last election was narratives from MC Olomo and his gang. Some of them were stuffs like Yashinedu, this, that, the other one, that XYZ was going to happen. Now, because they knew that they lost the election, in that context, now they are trying to gaslight everyone, right? Let me just quickly take some of your comments and see. Um, one man went to the mosque said, but they can always name bus stop after Charlie Boy in Anambra. You know, I think I, you know, from the way you sound most times, you live in England, but one man, sadly, the way you sound sometimes, objectivity may be too far from you. With all due respect, we are friends, but it's Hannah, I don't know how to respond to that because it's not a question of not having, okay, Charlie Boy lived the better part of his life in Lagos. He was part of Lagos before he moved to Abuja. So he was better part of his life is in Lagos, was in Lagos. And some of the streets named after those there, bear in mind these streets are not free actually. You understand that some developers, I have a friend who bought a place at Ajau Estate. He bought actually a swamp. When he showed me the picture of or the video of how he was able to build a soccer way, I mean, I said, I don't know why he did that. I wouldn't, to be honest with you, not in 10 million years. They had to cast and keep digging and be sinking that, stuff. And the amount of money he used in some filling the area before he built. Now, and the same thing applies to all of them. So once they've done like a street, eventually the street is named after one of them. I do not know the criteria, but at least they go to the local government, they pay, right? So it's done normally because they are the ones that brought life in those areas. I mean, it's normal. So why would I go want to change it? It's not about going to Anambra State to name Charlie Boy. If if Chalibo had lived in Anambra State, for instance, or and made, well known in these, the way he did in Bariga, of course, why wouldn't streets or many things be named after him? But Charlie Boy is more Lagosian than he is Igbo. I can tell you that because the prime of his life was in Lagos. Just like you, one man went to the mall. Your kids are Yorubas, but your kids are more English than they are Yorubas, irrespective of whether it is a reality you want to accept. Because you give birth to your kids in England, they will spend the better part of their life in England. So why would someone, maybe assuming any of your kid is a developer eventually gets a street and you wake up one day because they think they do not like the color of the skin and they want to remove that. I mean, and I don't know how you feel. The bottom line here is that it's not about Lagos, but it's about where people had lived. It could be any state. It could be Sokoto, it could be Anambra, it could be Imo, it could be Bayelsa. So making it really about a Lagos conversation is, doesn't really cut it that much. But it is about a people. And the thing is that the way you lots are driving these 2027 madness, think, I sometimes reflect if some of you who are driving this narrative are not helping our friends from the Southwest. I'm trying to be very careful to choose my word. I recall that in 2000, in the year 2020, I was in Washington, D.C., and to attend my elder sister's, I think that was Silver Jubilee, right? And I met an Equa pastor. Equa, I think The guy is a Fulani man, is a pastor. And I had an interview with him. I think the interview is still on this platform. Go and look at it, Fulani pastor. You just go on and type in Fulani pastor, the rest is history. He said something that really, before then, he never occurred to me. He said, President Muhammadu Buhari, I beg you to change course in the way you're going because you're hurting the Fulanis beyond the end of your tenure. When he said that, it struck me. So I am in that line, I am saying, please, those of us who are hell bent on driving ethnic bigotry narrative, please stop. You're not helping your people. You're actually alienating them from other Nigerians. No matter what, the worst case scenario is that Tinubu governs for 8 years. That is the worst case. The worst case scenario. He leaves office in 2031. That is the worst case. But the question is, if this level of narrative continues for the next 6 years, the outlook I see, it's not good because it's going to be like the way now the people see the Fulanese based on the feelings of what President Muhammadu Buhari late could not do when he was in power. It is not difficult and it is not hard to say to treat everybody equal if you are in power. It's not a difficult thing to say and it's not a difficult thing to ask for. But hey, if some of us decide and if some of us want to be ethnically bigoted, so be it. One man says, post 2027, it will get a lot more intense. Well, let it get more intense. But one thing I beg, one man, as Chinua Achebe said in the book, A Man of the People, they have taken enough for the owners to see. One man, I thank you for your super chat. However, I would respond. I'm taking your comment, as Chinua Achebe said in his book, A Man of the People. They have taken enough for the owner to see. I do not know by the reference who you refer as they, because Nigerians are those who are in Lagos, in Abuja, in Kaduna, in Enugu. I would want us to please, if you are on X, I recommend, because when some of us as Nigerians make certain comments, it beats me. I would want us to visit this handle. The handle is Polyglot Adedeji. Polyglot Adedeji. In fact, let me share this handle. Hold on. In the comment section. How do I share handle again here? Repost? No. Okay, let me share this handle, please. Someone called my attention to this handle. This is the handle, right? And I like what the guy is doing. There is this narrative that people are not accepted elsewhere. But this guy is actually a Yoruba guy. But he goes around the country showing where people live. Look at one of the things he said here. The first one, let me share this one with us in the comment section. So if you wish, you can read with me. Just give me 1 minute, please. Okay, I've shared it. That's a Twitter. Hold on, is it? Yes, that's an X handle. Now let me read what it says. It says, While at Enugu, I interviewed my good friend Kabiesi Oba Abdullahi Aziz Adebayo Oleteju, Oromobo 1, Chuku Mereze 1 of Edem land in Ibagwa, Nike, Enugu State, the Oba of Yoruba community in Enugu. He has been in Enugu for over 40 years and speaks perfect Igbo and Yoruba. The link I have shared, right? And he continued. Again, I take this. He says, some people are surprised with this post because these type of news are underreported. I am a traveler. I know good things exist across the country, and I do my best to repost such. Again, continues. I have posted a Yoruba Oba in Enugu, and here, and there is an uproar. What if I post that? What if I post that of every state in the southeast? Average Nigerian does not have time for tribalism. How do you key in into this false narrative sold to you by the people who didn't verify either? I had to travel to Enugu to get the true picture, and the videos are on my timeline. Just watch, learn from the testimonies of non-indigens and stop this bigotry, right? And obviously there are bigots from all sides. Some, bigots from the other side began cracking and making jokes. But that's not, the key point here is when I listen to what this guy is doing, I found it interesting. Just take a listen to this. Let me quickly see if I can. Okay, sorry. Just listen to this. Now, in this video, right, he says 100% Yoruba man from Ede in Ogun State who came masquerading, who carries masquerade in Anambra, where he was born and bred. Because we must, when I say this, we must walk away from this narrative that, like there is, this cliche, oh, in the Southeast, they don't sell land to people. That's another lie. That's a big fat lie. They do. If you wish, and I've challenged many people here, if you wish, tell me location, you can buy it. The same thing happens with the Northerners, the Hausas, or whatever, right? Now, this is another. I honestly, if you go to this guy's timeline, you see all this. This is another video where he says, "Brilliant Northern girl, fluent in Igbo." In this video, yeah, yeah. This guy is Yoruba man, right? It's Yoruba. I speak very, very but small, not like that. But you speak Hausa very well. Yes. Can I tell Hausa so say? And I think I know. Okay. Now I can make it. Now, to Lagos, I didn't beg for money. Look at this. If I want to eat, work. So what I did was I go to place where they're selling bread and beans. I just go there and start packing plates. After washing plates, the woman will just call me. I'm telling you the truth. So there's this. So if we look at all these things this guy is posting here, Hausa woman points to a big property owned by Hausas in Enugu. Look at this one. Okay. And I'm with your name? Khadija. Yeah. You're from which state? Kano State. Can I tell Hausa? Inshallah. Why can't I make Hausa? Yari nani ya? Yari kine. Tina kijine. Abada da basa ji yari. Tunda yara ne da wannan Hausa ya dole in ji Hausa. Ko ba yawa kwarai.
Haba. He na kawa ina so ibu. Ina so. Amuru gi neighbor. Inshallah. Me to neighbor. In a really deep. Ofuma. Dika gine. Abu. Jawarawo. Abacha. Ofora. Utazi.
Now,
There is one man they call Allergic Prince.
Again, look at this.
He has a Prince Palace Hotel at Bonkiti. Yes. He has house at this Blue Chase. He's a very good friend of my father. Yes. It was him that gave my father a single house to stay. You understand?
Now, why I'm showing this to us is that I like the fact that this guy, again, polyglots. I've posted his link on the comment section. I like the fact that he's a Yoruba man and he is the one showcasing this. One thing, and this is my final message to us, we must not allow the politicians gaslight us. Please, I beg us. We must not allow politicians divide us. In our communities, whenever we see injustice, east, north, south, west, please, we must not allow politicians gaslight us. Whenever we see injustice, let us speak up, please. Because if we do not know who our children will marry tomorrow. We do not know who they will end up with. We don't even know how long we'll be in this planet's Earth. Because once you are dead, you don't even know what else is happening in this world. Other people are moving ahead. And here we are playing ethnic bigotry. That must stop. On this note, probably I have to reschedule the interview with Charlie Boy since this evening was, impossible. Okay? Thank you very much for joining me. I am still Mazes. Okay. Good night from here.